Okay, we're live. I'm here with Jason Sparks, who I had an opportunity to meet a couple months ago down in Camden, Tennessee at the Self-Reliance Festival. We bumped into one another and started chatting, and I really liked his story as far as what he's been working on, and like to talk about that um, real soon here. I'd like to get pretty deep into it with what you're doing with Kentucky Sustainable Living. But first off, why don't you just tell us who's Jason Sparks and kind of your backstory a little bit.
But yeah, Eric, what you said, we met at Self-Reliance and they were talking there like a guy drove in all the way from California. And I'm like, man, this dude is freaking committed if he drove from California. I was like, I want to talk to him. And so Tag introduced us. Is actually where we met. But like you said, I'm Jason. I live in Kentucky, lived here my whole life, plan on staying here my whole life. I don't see myself going anywhere. But a couple years ago, we started Kentucky Sustainable Living as with a purpose of connecting Kentucky residents and Kentucky people and forming a whole statewide group that we could rely on. Essentially a statewide MAG, a mutual assistance group, is what we wanted to have in there. And we started off small, just a few guys, started a Facebook group, and we're like, hey, let's start the Facebook group, the way to recruit people. And it's kind of grown from there. We've got almost 900 members in the Facebook group right now. And we've got a smaller group also that's off Facebook of vetted members. That those members are able to attend our trainings and meetings and stuff like that. And we do a simple vetting process just to make sure we're not getting any bad apples in the group. So which makes everybody feel more comfortable. If somebody's coming to your house, they've been background checked and vetted by at least a couple people, and a couple people can vouch for those individuals. But my background, I went to Western Kentucky University, graduated with construction management degree from there. Went to work for one construction company, and I'm like, this is BS. I was like, I'm not ever going to get anywhere doing this. So I started out doing decorative concrete and a lot of protective concrete coatings and stuff like that. And we kind of morphed in. I got tired of doing concrete because it was just a bunch of drunks and drug heads that work for you. And I was like, I'm going to go into more remodeling. So now we've started in doing mostly kitchen and bathroom remodels is what we kind of specialize in. The prepping aspect started 14 or so years ago. It was nothing but beans, bullets, and Band-Aids is kind of what I started off doing, and got into raising animals, and then it slowly progressed into more homesteading, permaculture, and self-reliance aspect of it, because honestly, there's only so much stuff you can stock. And if people are like, oh yeah, I'm great, I've got a year's supply of food, that's great, but what are you going to do on day 366? You're kind of screwed.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that's kind of where people start a lot of times, is they start realizing that there's a need for something, and then they start acquiring things, and then they realize, there's more to it than that. And they get a chicken, or they start growing some vegetables or something, and then it just kind of leads into this homesteading as it's now being called. But no, that's interesting, man. So on your business, so you're a general contractor?
Yes, I got my general license.
Cool.
So we can do pretty much with general contracting in Warren County in Kentucky, where I'm at. You can do pretty much any kind of projects you want to. Commercial, industrial, residential. We usually stay in the residential aspect. We'll do a little bit of commercial stuff. Mostly the commercial stuff we do is more floor coatings, epoxy work, and stuff like that, just because we did it for so long that a lot of the guys know us, and they're like, we'll get you to do the epoxy coatings and the stain work and stuff like that. But now it's 90% residential and about 10% commercial stuff.
Yeah. How have you been affected by the last few years? I know that's affected a lot of businessmen.
Honestly, when all the stuff started off, everybody was still, kind of like, oh, is this going to be the real deal? Is it really going to knock out, Lord, even if it knocked out 10% of the population, it's something scary, you know. So I was actually working at a lady's house, remodeling it. And I told her, I said, let's kind of see where this goes and see how bad it's actually going to be. And we're going to do a set of like California closets for her master closet. I told her, I said, I want to run over there, take all my measurements. You can pick your paint colors online, do all that stuff. I said, I'll go buy all the materials, work in my shop, build all this stuff for you. I said, it'll take about a week and a half to build it, paint it, and get it finished. And I said, it'll buy us a week and a half to see what happens. And she's like, okay, cool. Week and a half later, I talked to her and I'm like, everything's done. I was like, what do you feel about it? So we both came to consensus that it was just a bunch of bullshit. And she's like, come put my closet in. I want it now. So a week and a half, 2 weeks, it kind of affected me. But other than that, we've been balls to the wall with remodels and everything. People were staying at their house and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've neglected my house. I want to repaint this room. I want to redo a bathroom. I want to do this. And it was just flat out asses and elbows. And that's the way it's been since.
Yeah. I have some friends and people that are close to me that are in the construction trade, and they've kind of seen basically the same thing. They've been fairly busy, you know, because, you know, there was a lot of stimulus money or, you know, free government money going around, and people were doing different things with that.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It even though the cost of building materials was kind of really high and getting kind of crazy there for a while, people were still, you know, spending money and doing things, you know, on their houses. So,
yeah, I mean, we remodeled a whole house in Hendersonville, which is a few miles down the road in Tennessee. Remodeled it. It was a total gut. We gutted it down to the studs and built it back up. We did that. We're working on a whole house remodel right now, and we'll be there for several more months doing it. But it's just been, I mean, it really hadn't stopped. The lumber prices affected people some, but the people still kept spending money on everything. I mean, I didn't buy as much lumber. I like to stock a little bit of lumber, but I was like, I'm not buying $70 sheets of OSB unless I absolutely have to.
Sure. Yeah. No, I was, that's something that I do pretty much every time I go to Home Depot is I'll just kind of get a 10,000 foot view of the lumber prices by just checking the 2x4s, you know,
Yes.
And seeing if they're trending up or trending down. So I guess from the standpoint of your business, like, what are you seeing for the future? Do you think that there's going to be prices are going to continue to go up or down, or what's your feelings?
About 6 or 8 months ago, it was funny. I was working for a guy. We had to have some 2x4s. I showed up at his house and I had treated 2x4s, and he came out. He was like, damn, dude. He's like, why did you buy treated? He's like, are you working, you know, by how much money you spend? And I was like, no. I said, the treated 2x4s were $3 cheaper than standard ones. And he was like, you're lying. And I pulled it up on the Lowe's app on my phone and showed him. He was like, that's stupid. And it was a whole supply and demand deal. More people wanted untreated studs as opposed to pressure treated, so they got cheaper, which it blew my mind. But I went ahead and I was like, we're going to use pressure treated. It's not going to hurt anything. And he's like, if I can save $3 a stud, let's do it.
Yeah.
So
do you think that things are going to go up, or do you have a sense as to, like, because sometimes, you know, you hear things as a person who's in that industry, like, oh, they're going to be, you know, costs are going to go up, or
I think it's probably about as low as it's going to go for a while. Honestly, studs 2x8 or 2x4 by 8 foot studs are they're still a little bit higher than they were before they jumped in price so bad, but they're back down to a reasonable level. OSB, I use 8 foot studs, and OSB is kind of a price gauge because those are the most common stuff that I buy. OSB is still at hurricane price, is what I call it. Before all the stupid stuff in Kentucky, 7/16 OSB was $7 to $8 a sheet, right around in there. A hurricane would come through and it would jump up to about $12 a sheet. So we're at about the $12 to $13 a sheet right now. Last time I bought any, so that's the hurricane price, is what I call it. So we're still setting.
What's a stud go for? Because I know what they are here, but I'd be interested to know what you're paying down there.
For what?
Just a regular, you know, green 2x4 stud.
I hadn't priced any in a while. I know just 2x4x8 regular pine stud. They were running 380, something like that.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
That's similar to what it is here now. So, prices at least are similar in that regard. I mean, we were talking hay prices a little earlier.
Yes.
And there's no comparison. We're like, it's like the difference between my gas and your gas,
Oh yeah. What's gas out there now? Just 87.
It's 6 something. I don't know. I try not to drive that much. I don't go a lot of places. But it was cool, man, driving back to you guys' neck of the woods. Yeah, once I got on the other side of Nevada, prices really started to drop, because Nevada kind of gets the California effect, and then they gouge your eyes until you get closer to Wyoming, and then it just kind of drops down below $4. But it's $6.50 around here, which it's just crazy. It's just so nice filling up a tank when you're paying $3 a gallon, or I paid $2.94 there, I think, somewhere in Tennessee, and I was just like elated, which
no doubt.
Crazy to say. Yeah.
Well, I looked. It's funny because we're real close to the Tennessee border where we're at, and we went down. I went with a customer today to go look at Granite, just north of Nashville. Gas in Bowling Green was running like $3.20, $3.15 a gallon, and as soon as you cross the state line, the cheapest I saw it down in Tennessee was $2.85. And the whole reason is Tennessee gets their gas from a pipeline, as opposed to where we're at in Kentucky, we get it on barge. So there's that much price difference if it runs on pipeline than it does barge. Yeah.
Well, I think we get ours pipeline and barge, but it don't matter because it's just, there's just gouging our eyes out, man. It's crazy.
I'd say the taxes. There's a bunch of taxes on it with y'all. I'd say, isn't there?
Oh, they do. Yeah, there's that California tax. It's just like $1, just because it's California or whatever. And then they change. Yeah, they change it like in between summer and winter. They got a winter blend and a summer blend, and it's just it's just stupid, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
The little hardware store is the closest place that has off-road fuel to us, and they're just a mile down the road. They were actually out of off-road diesel the other day.
Really?
Yeah, so I had to get regular diesel and pay the stinking road tax on it to run in my equipment. I was like, it just pissed me off.
Yeah. Hey, so tell me a little bit more about your group. It seems like it's growing.
Yes.
Getting bigger each month. People are showing interest, and that's awesome, man. I like the idea of that. I think, we really need to be getting back to working amongst each other and, building community in whatever ways we can. And what you guys are doing is really super cool. And I'm sure that there's other people that have heard what you're doing and are interested in that. So, from the standpoint of where do you start on something like that, what would you recommend? Like somebody wants to do something, maybe not on a statewide basis, but just on a countywide or even, in their local, local town. How would they start, something exactly like you did?
The first thing, and I've heard some people say it, is get to know your neighbors. Don't try to find somebody halfway across the state until you know all your neighbors, and at least find out who they are, what their deal is, and what makes them tick. And unless you know that, don't go 100 miles away to try to find somebody that thinks like you. I mean, hell, your neighbor could think the same thing that you're thinking, but he's just scared to say it. So somebody's got to say, it's the whole deal when you're dating somebody. Somebody's got to be the first one to say, I love you. Both of you scared to do it, but somebody's got to say it first. Mm-hmm. So get to know your neighbors first is the big thing. And then build upon that, because it's surprising the number of people that are within 15 or 20 miles that want to build community, that are just looking for somebody to step up and start it. And, a lot of people are still playing the whole lone wolf thing. Oh, I can survive everything. Me and my family can do everything. And it's like, no, you can't. You're going to have somebody to help you with it. We've had several people that, they wanted to do the lone wolf stuff, and they finally saw the light, and they're like, I was doing lone wolf for a long time, but I know we need to build a community and have people you can rely on. So that, as far as getting started, Jake is one of the guys. He just joined our group. He's in Southern Indiana, his YouTube channel, I think I've got it right, is Dog Creek Farms. Jake actually joined up with us. He contacted me. He saw me when I was on with Tag, and he got a hold of me, and he's like, "Hey, I know your group is just Kentucky people in there." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "But I want to do the same thing in Indiana." So I talked to him for a while, vetted him, felt him out, and I'm like, "Come be in the group and learn from us, and I will help you start an Indiana deal." So him, and it's Chase from Chasing Dreams. I think he's got a YouTube channel. I know he's got a Facebook group, but they're going to start trying to build something in Indiana. So I'm kind of helping Jake build his stuff in Indiana now. We're going to get started. I think he's coming down this weekend. If the weather's right, we're going to be butchering a pig this weekend at the house, and he's going to come down for that, and we're going to talk and do a little planning on that aspect of it.
Nice.
So, and if there's anybody else that wants to start building a community, reach out to me on my YouTube channel. You can get a hold of me there. My email's there. Email me. I'll take time to talk to you about how to start the community. It's not as hard as you think. It's just you got to put some time in, and it's going to take a hot minute to get some members in there. It's not going to go from 0 to 100 in 2 days. I mean, we've been working at this for almost 2 years now. And that's how far we've gotten in 2 years.
Yeah. So you've got it essentially broken up, as I understand it, into different geographical areas within your state, right?
Yes.
So it's divided up in that way, and then you've got somewhat of a group leader within those geographical areas, or at least a contact point. I don't know exactly what you guys are calling that, but
yeah, we split it. We actually took the DOT map of the state, because the state split with the DOT. They split it up into 7 different districts, is what the state calls it. But we named it communities, because essentially that's what it is. I mean, that's the greatest name for it, is a community. So we got 7 communities throughout the state. Each community has a lead, is what we call it. He does some of the vetting work for us, and he or she organizes group meetings and events and stuff like that. They'll get together with all the people in community 2 and say, "Hey, let's have, what do we want to do for our monthly meeting this month?" So the members will throw out somebody might say, "Hey, I want to do a medical training," or I want to do a soap making class. So he'll find whoever knows about soap in the group and say, "Hey, let's call them up and be like, hey, can you put on a soap class next Saturday for us?" And most of the time, the people are more than willing to do it. And so then he'll shoot it out to everybody and say, "Hey, next Saturday, we're having a soap making class at so-and-so's house." And just do it that way. So the lead kind of takes care of each community. He's the main contact point there, and he takes care of planning, is what he does.
Right. Do you guys have any bylaws or anything written as far as what you have as expectations for the members, and just kind of some guidelines? And
yeah, we've got some. We really need to go in and revise them, because when we started out, we really didn't know what we were doing. So we just put together a small, short bylaws thing. And but we're going to expand that some more. That's one of the things that you kind of need to do to set the expectations. If a member does this, you're out of the group, or we expect this from you. For instance, if a member we're not going to put up with a member flirting with somebody's wife or something like that. It's like, dude, we're not all about that kind of stuff. So if you're doing that, move on and go down to the swingers place in Nashville if you want to do that.
Get to stepping.
Yeah, it's like, forget it. We don't have a lot of drama in the group, which is nice, because everybody kind of thinks alike. Every now and then some guys will butt heads or something like that, but it's everybody, gets along. We don't have a lot of drama, which is great.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. I mean, if you could ever have a situation where people actually just regulate themselves, I mean, what could be better than that? But the reality is people are people, and it's difficult dealing with different personalities, and different people have different ideas about what the group represents if that isn't clearly defined, so I think it's important to establish those parameters in any type of a thing like this, because people come in and then they think, well, it should be this way or it should be that way. And I'm sure you're aware of the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
Yes.
Being that like 20% of the people do 80% of the work, at least as the Pareto principle explains it. I'm not exactly sure that it's quite,
It's
way
pretty
across the board, but there's an element to that that's true, so how do you deal with, the idea that like some people are going to be members of the group, but yet disengaged from actually participating? Hey, this guy's a member of the group, right? Finger quotes, but we haven't seen him in 3 years. So, at some point you kind of have to deal with that, I would suppose, correct?
We're dealing with some of that right now. Those guys kind of weed themselves out. I mean, I'm a doer, and I've told the guys before when we've had meetings here. I mean, guys have driven, because sometimes we'll do a whole weekend statewide event, and we'll do like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and everybody just camps out at the shop and hangs out at the shop. We'll throw the cots out. They can stay in the shop. We'll get the wood stove going. Everybody stays down there. There's guys that have driven 3 hours plus to come down here and stay all weekend. And I've told those guys, though, I'm like, hey, I will put my time in you if you show up for this stuff. If you're not going to show up for it and you just want to be a keyboard commando, I really don't have a lot of time for you.
Yeah.
So that they kind of weed themselves out is the big thing. You get a lot of box checkers. They just want to check that box. Oh yeah, I joined a group. All you did was freaking fill out an application and say hi to everybody. You checked the damn box and didn't do nothing else. You lived 20 minutes away and you didn't show up for our medical training that we did a couple months ago. It's like all it cost you. And we don't charge stuff. We've put on medical trainings. We've put on butchering stuff. We've put on homestead security classes, solar classes. And the only thing it's cost people is the gas money to drive to it. And most of the times a side dish of like baked beans or potato salad. So you could come. One of our guys is a retired Army Ranger. He put on a homestead security class, and it's up on YouTube. You can watch it. He put that on, did everything for free, and all it cost the people to come was gas and a thing of potato salad. And I mean, if you paid somebody for that, it's going to cost you $200 or $300 to go to a class like that.
Yeah, the value that you get in something like that is really immeasurable, because you're not only getting the knowledge that you gain from the people that you're around, but you also gain the relationship, which is every bit as important. I mean, establishing relationships, meeting people, that's what it's all about.
Yes.
And I think that so many people have kind of strayed away from that, but within the last couple of years, there's been a refocus on people realizing, hey, maybe I need some other people around me instead of just like, being by themselves. So, yeah, that's cool, man.
And there's like Shelly's on here with Two Old Crows Homestead. She called me and she was like, hey, she said, I've seen some stuff about security and everything like that. She said, can you and the ranger come up and do like a security thing for my property? And I was like, yeah. I'm not a security expert. I was never in the military. Don't play one on TV. Didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night or anything. I was like, yeah, we can come up and do it. So we're going to go up there one Saturday and just do a walkthrough of her property and tell her kind of some stuff that needs to happen for the security aspect. It might cost her a hamburger or something to cook lunch for us, but I mean, if you're going to do a consultation, no telling how much it would cost to get an Army Ranger to come to your house all day and give you security tips.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I'm going to need to get in touch with Shelly and get some more of that soap, man.
That is good soap.
I'm telling you what, it's pretty good stuff, man. Yeah, I was like, I went back to the stuff she made because I picked up a thing of Dove soap or something from the store, and I went, wait a minute, this ain't what I was using. So,
yes.
So yeah, I need to get some more of that. It's pretty good stuff.
Oh, I was kidding Shelly. I got her Sexy Beast soap, and I told her, I said, my wife got mad when I took a shower with that, and she was like, why? I said, because we had to board up the windows. I said, women were smelling that and coming and beating on the windows while I was taking a shower. And she's like, you're not right. So, yeah, Shelly said she'd definitely provide lunch.
Yeah, right on.
Well, she cooked chili. She cooked chili last weekend when I went up there to help her with that 38,000-pound pig that we did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it was good chili. I was full by the end of the day.
That sounds good, man. It's good home cooking.
And another thing about building the communities and stuff, it's what we've done is one of our guys is a tech guy. He set up a spreadsheet. We've got an online spreadsheet that each member can go in and fill out themselves, and it's a whole spreadsheet. If Joe Blow raises pigs, he can put on there. At my homestead, we've got pigs for sale. We've got chickens for sale. And he can update it as go in there and say, hey, we just had a litter of so-and-so, Hampshire pigs or whatever. They'll be ready in 2 months or whatever. So each member can go in there and be like, Joe Blow has pigs. I want to call him, tell him I want to put in to get 2 of his pigs as feeder pigs. Shelly put on there that she's making soap and selling soap. So she's got on there her contact info, and when people want soap, they can call her up and be like, hey, Shelly, I want X amount of bars of Sexy Beast or whatever it is. And then that way she can send it out to them, and then they can take care of payment that way. And also other services on there. Some of the people don't know everything that each person does, and it's just too hard to keep up all the time. Shelly might mention that she makes soap, but it might get lost in the chat and nobody realizes it, but they can look on that spreadsheet for something they're looking for and find it. And then
that's
that
super
way you're
huge,
money.
man.
And,
people don't know, the people that are around them, what their capabilities are, and then what they're willing to offer up, and that's one of the things that's so important about, the community aspect of it, the strength of that, being able to keep the services and to keep the money between you and I, rather than, putting it through a third party. I'm really all about that. And I think that that's a great resource, like directory. And so you're kind of establishing something like that.
Yeah, we've got the spreadsheet is up and running and live right now. And then also, it goes back to what Tag is doing, as far as starving the beast. Yeah. If Shelly, if Shelly needs some more chickens, she can find somebody that has chickens and say, hey, I'll trade you so many bars of soap for so many chickens. And then the big man doesn't get involved in it. She's got her chickens, and the other person has their soap, and they've just bartered it out, and no money has exchanged hands, but everybody's gotten what they wanted.
Yeah, I think a lot of people I know within our inner circle is, I'll call it, we do stuff like that. But from a standpoint of something a little larger, from a mutual assistance group, not that inner circle, it just expands the reach and what's available to all the members, just to know that, oh, this dude's got a backhoe that he's willing, I can barter with that guy to come over and do some backhoe work or a dozer or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, I might be reaching out to you just to see how, rather than putting together a group or a mutual assistance group, kind of in the way that you've done, just a resource directory of people who are like-minded that want to be able to exchange goods and services.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Oh yeah. And people help each other out. Several of the guys have gone to other people's places and help them put fence up. 2 of the members had got a USDA grant to put up new fencing at their farm. They put on there, they're like, we're working night and day to get this fence up because they were up against a hard deadline. So a couple of members are like, hey, we'll come out next Saturday and help you put fence up. So they went out there all day on a Saturday and helped put fence up, and all it cost the other member putting the fence up, he raises pigs, so he cooked up a bunch of pork chops for them for lunch and fed them lunch and dinner, and he got all day of work with them. And that's the whole thing. You're breaking bread with members and working with them and spending all day with them. So that's really when you get to know somebody.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's super good, man. We do stuff like that on a smaller scale, here locally, but there's, it's awesome what you're doing back there in your neck of the woods. So what was kind of the impetus? Was it right around the early 2020, if I'm not mistaken, when you guys decided to get this going, or was there some other catalyst?
Yeah, somewhere right around there. I'd been in another group, and it just wasn't really panning out. It varied more towards the military side of it, without saying that the word that gets you kicked and stuff like that. But they kind of went that route, and I was like, I'm not all about that. I'm not gonna go take up arms and that kind of stuff right now. And they kind of got in that boat, and I'm like, that's not what I'm all about. I want to stay more of the homestead, off grid, gray man. I'm the type of person, leave me alone. I'm 44. I can figure it out, and I don't need your help figuring it out from the big government. Just let me do my thing, and I'll make it work one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so we just kind of started that way and just been growing ever since, because we kind of needed something. I could see, kind of what was going on with it. And I've always wanted to have a mag and a big community like that. And it just seemed kind of like the right time. All the pieces fell together, and the right guys were there to help us go along and start this thing.
Yeah. Fantastic, man. That's awesome. Let's circle around and talk about a little SRF, man. What do you think about that? That was pretty cool. Was that your first time going to Self-Reliance?
That was the first one going. The only part that bummed me out is I didn't get to do my talk because I was planning on speaking, and I started feeling like hell. And Chuck Peoples took care of me, and I just don't know what it was. My blood pressure shot up. I didn't feel real good, and I was like, I just don't know if I can do this or not. But other than that, I mean, it was great. I mean, I met all kinds of cool people. It was a good time. A lot of good speakers. I mean, I met some awesome people. I met you. I met Tag in person. Toolman Tim, I met him in person. And I got to talk to Billy again from Permapastures. And I'd met Billy because I went down for the Swales class before Self-Reliance. They had it like a month or so before. I went down to it. And it was fun. I was like, if this is what they're doing down there, this is pretty cool. I mean, Billy teaches an awesome class.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that was a highlight for me, was that Swales class, or excuse me, the Guild class.
Yes.
There was a lot of good information that was taken away from that. It was definitely worth the price of admission, and it was just great to go down and see those people and get to meet them, and have that time to spend with them. And it was definitely money well spent for me, but that was pretty awesome. Jack was there helping Spearco. Yeah. So it was cool.
It was well worth the money. I mean, I probably, after seeing it, I would have paid twice as much to go to that class.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, I concur.
And we came back. We came back, and Shelly and I taught the food forest class and the Guild class at my place, and put in a huge big food forest a couple weeks after we did. Well, we did it about a month after SRF. Mm-hmm. So we did that. We had 15 or 16 people out here doing the food forest, and put on a class for them and everything like that. We videoed all of it, even though the hiccups we had. We videoed everything and got most of it on there.
Yeah, no, I actually watched your guys' video, and you guys did a great job of kind of passing on the information that you learned while you were there. And I think the people that were probably at your class got quite a bit out of that. So that was awesome, man. What's that saying? Teach one, reach one, or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, something like that. So that's awesome. You're passing on that information.
Oh yeah, and that's the whole purpose of the community. I mean, I gained knowledge on that, took time to learn that, and then I bring it back to our people and show them that. And then it's the whole value for value. So I taught, if one of our medical people were there, I taught them how to plan a guild. So then they will turn around and teach me something medical, or something tactical. One of the retired military guys will teach me something tactical on that. So it's the whole value for value thing.
Yeah, that's cool. What was your biggest takeaway from SRF, I guess, or a moment that you just really appreciated?
I tell you, meeting all the people that I met was the biggest thing. I mean, You've only got a limited amount of time at SRF, but the people that I've met, I've spent a ton of time talking to them. I mean, how many emails have we sent back and forth to each other, and we've talked on the phone. I've talked to Billy a bunch. I mean, Billy and I and Shelly did live a few weeks back. I've talked to Tim. I mean, I've got Tim's number. I can call Tim, and I've asked Tim some stupid questions about YouTube, and he's always been great on helping me with it.
Yeah, that's a good dude.
Yeah, just met those people, talked to them, talked to Tag. I've talked to Tag a bunch about stuff, and just the biggest thing I got out of it was just making those connections and an in-person connection and shaking that guy's hand and eating lunch with him or something. So that was the coolest part about it.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Just it's kind of amazing to me that, like, you know, most of the things that wind up being amazing to me all revolve around people, you know, and the experiences that you have with people. You know, it's like when we were up hiking on the Pacific Crest Trail, right? It's like the trail is beautiful, no doubt about it, and you're expecting it to be beautiful, but what you're not expecting is the kindness of the people and the interactions you have with just random people that you meet out there, you know, and that's the like thing that's kind of surprising to me. So yeah, going down there, I would say to anybody who's even thinking about it, or looking to make relationships with people, and I'm taking a cue from what I heard Nicole Sauce say, which was people ask her all the time, hey, how do I meet people? Where do I go to meet like-minded people? You know, she's like, you got to go where they're at, right? Yeah. And you can't have a relationship, at least one that's meaningful, by just meeting somebody on the internet. You know, people think they know you or whatever, but you need to make the effort. You need to go that extra mile to actually shake their hand and look them in the eyes and introduce yourself. That's where the relationships are made. So, you know, I drove 4,540 miles round trip to go down there to meet people, you know, and there's people that, you know, came further than me. So it's one of those things that, like, if you're thinking about doing it, you might want to consider doing it, because what I've gained out of it was those relationships, meeting a lot of people. And that's really what it's all about. So.
Oh yeah. And you can't really get to know somebody, even meeting somebody for 10 minutes. I mean, I can put a front on and I can be the richest contractor that we do multi-million-dollar high rises, you know, for 5 to 10 minutes, but it's spending a little bit more time with people. It's Bear said it before, you got to get to know the people and sniff their butts and fall in love kind of thing, and see if you actually like this person, you know, do life with them. See how they interact on a day-to-day basis with stuff. And that's what we try to do with ours, is when we do these events, you're spending almost all day with somebody. When we do a state event, you're spending the stinking weekend with people. I mean, you're seeing that guy. We had 7 or 8 guys last time down in the shop. We fired the wood stove up. They slept in the shop. And I mean, you're seeing that guy when he wakes up in the morning, how crab-assy he is waking up and everything. So you're like, I wonder if I could really do life with this guy or not. So, and I mean, it was great. I mean, we'd stay up to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning sitting by the stove, just talking about some of the stupidest stuff ever. And it was like, these are some of the best times that we've had doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
But it's, people are the great part, but they're also the hardest part about it.
Oh, for sure. 100%. It's like, you know, my line of work, that was, you know, I think this is almost true unless you're in the people business, but 95% of what you do is dealing with people. Like the 5 to 10% of what you actually do is like, you know, it's dealing with people, and people are difficult to deal with because not everybody's thinks like you. And that's the biggest takeaway that a lot of people have to learn, is that, like, you have to be patient because not everybody thinks like you. You know, it's relationships are difficult to build.
Oh yeah. And that people in with me, I mean, I get along with people most of the time. I'm kind of cut and dry though. It's like, we need to get this stuff done. We need to pick this out. We need to pick that out. So I can go on and do my job. And it's, you know, I know exactly what that tile is going to do when I pick it up and when I start to lay it. I know exactly what that paint's going to look like and act like when I put it on the wall. But you throw the personal aspect in it, they're like, oh my gosh, do I really want to paint this bathroom this color? And you're just doing like this. It's like you've had 3 weeks to pick a paint color, and I've got the paint, I'm getting ready to put it on the wall, and I pour it out, and then you look, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I like that color or not.
Yeah. That's the same as sitting there in the sandwich shop and you're waiting in line for 10 minutes. And then the person in front of you gets up there and then looks up at the thing and is like, like they don't know what they want, and you're just sitting there just going, man, I'm going to choke this person. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, we've been here for 15 minutes. Like, you don't know what you want.
And they've probably eaten there 30 times before.
Right.
And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. Or they pull out the list from everybody at work that's like 12 sandwiches.
Yeah.
That's the one that gets
holy
me.
Crap. When we go out and eat, we usually eat at the same place, and I hardly ever look at the menu. And when we go somewhere, I know what I want to eat at that place, and it never hardly changes.
Yeah. No, I get it. So what's up on your homestead, man? What's going to be new for you coming up? What are you working on? What are you looking to improve? Or
I've been working down in the shop. I wanted to do a comms room, ham shack kind of thing. So I've almost got it finished up. I moved some furniture in there yesterday, some file cabinets, stuff like that. So it's pretty well finished up. I've got to put a charge controller down there and some solar panels out because I'm trying to run all of that off 12 volts. So I put in, I ordered 12 volt lights, 12 volt recessed can lights, ordered a 12 volt ceiling fan, and then all your ham equipment runs off 12 volts already. So we're going to do a small battery bank in there to run the lights, the comms equipment, and then we'll have the solar panels out there to keep the batteries charged. So I was like, it took a little bit of time to figure it out, but I'm like, this is cool because I can run everything off a freaking 12 volt battery and play around down here. But that's pretty well done. I've been wanting to do that for a year now, at least. There's not too much. We got 2 or 3 ewes left to lamb. They started bagging up today. So hopefully within about a week, they'll have some lambs. We've had one litter of pigs this year, a couple weeks ago. And then we've got another sow that's pregnant. So she'll have another litter. And then we've got, I think 4 pigs to butcher and beef to butcher this year. Wow. So got a lot of that going on. And then also I broke down and bought myself a Christmas present, and I bought a freeze dryer.
Oh, so, you did?
Yes.
Yeah. Which one did you get? Did you get the large?
I got the large Harvest Right is what I got.
Oh, boy.
I'd been drilling over one for forever, and my wife was she's like, buy yourself a Christmas present. And I'm like, now are you sure I'm going to record this, you saying that I can buy this? And she was like, just go ahead and buy one. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I broke down and ordered one last week.
Nice. Did you get the oilless pump or?
No, I just got the Premier pump. I didn't want to. It was just too much. I had a hard time choking down what it was going to cost with just a premium pump. I wanted the oilless, but I was like, I can't spend that extra money on it.
Yeah, no, I understand. We wound up getting the oilless, and we've been happy with it. However, a couple of members in our group, they also have freeze dryers, and they have the large, just like ours, but one has the oilless just like ours, and the other one has the oil pump. And one of the guys, his broke down, and we had another guy who his broke down. And the thing that hasn't been too good about Harvest Right is seems like they kind of gave him the runaround on customer service. So I'm not too happy about that because the amount of money that we're spending on these things, man, it's like $5,500 for a unit, and or at least what we paid for ours. And they can't be juking you on customer service. So hopefully ours doesn't have any issues, but if it does, just be aware that you could be dealing with them for several weeks trying to get things figured out.
Well, hopefully if something goes wrong on it, hopefully it'll be the stinking pump, because I can get another vacuum pump for my HVAC guy. So, because really all that is just a high-powered vacuum pump on there from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So, and the refrigeration guys can get me one of those pretty easy to limp me through until Harvest Right gets something if something ever goes bad.
Yeah, something with the software though, it's a whole different deal. But I've been really happy with ours. It's been real nice to be able to all that surplus vegetable, all the surplus eggs we had this year, just to freeze dry all those eggs, and you don't have to really worry about not having, that resource or having to get rid of them in quick order. So it's been great to have it.
Have you done any meat yet?
Oh yeah.
How long does it usually take to run a batch of meat?
Well, it depends on like the thickness of it and all of that. One thing I've found is that, they say, oh, well, you should pre-freeze your stuff and that'll
Yes.
make it quicker. Well, that hasn't been like really the case that I've been aware of. I mean, it might, take a few hours off, but it's still going to run for, a couple days, 40 hours or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So it just depends on, how much material you're putting in there and how much moisture needs to be extracted from the meat itself.
Gotcha.
So we just butchered a bunch of lamb and stuff a week or so ago, and we wound up freeze drying the heart and liver for the dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really need it, and it's they like it, so we freeze dried that, and that takes 2 days, man. That's like damn near 48 hours. So it's what it's designed to do, and it came out beautifully. But you're surprised when you put a thing of beans, some pork and beans or whatever you're doing, it's going to take 40 hours. It's not just going to be like overnight.
Yeah.
So, but it's been great.
That's the only downside that I've seen is how long it actually takes to do it. I'm like,
right.
That's a long time to do it, but it's worth it in the end. I mean, you got shelf stable 25-year stuff.
I would also recommend just making sure you're keeping that thing cool, because it winds up heating up pretty good. So if you can run a fan on it to keep air circulating through it, I think that will have an effect as far as it not, having issues down the road. But I mean, they will heat up a room,
All right.
Yeah.
I'm planning. We got a spot in the basement we're going to put it in, and our basement never gets above about 66 degrees. So I was planning on keeping it in the basement. And I've seen a lot of the guys will have a small fan sitting on it going.
So you got damn near a root cellar down there. That's cool, man.
Pretty much. That's where I'm sitting right now. I'm actually sitting in the basement. This is my ham shack inside the house. So
yeah, that's pretty awesome. We don't have something like that. I wish we did, because it makes storing your food kind of difficult. It gets pretty hot around here in the summertime. Like if it's underneath 90 degrees, that would be odd. That would be uncommon. And it usually is in between 90 and 100 in the summertime, and it's not uncommon to go well over that. So trying to store food can be kind of difficult. You need to put it in some place that's not going to, be at high temperature. So we wound up storing a lot of stuff in our house, since we don't have, somewhere outside. It would be sweet to have a root cellar, but that's just one more thing that we would like to have and don't.
Oh yeah, our basement is finished all the way. It's a full finished basement, but I don't keep the heat and the air on down here very much at all, just because it kind of regulates itself. And the summertime it stays cool even without the air conditioner on down here. And then in the wintertime, if we're down here, if the kids are down here playing, I've got a set of gas logs that I'll flip on just to heat the room up a little bit while they're down here playing. And then when they're done, I flip the gas logs off and it cools back down. So it usually stays anywhere from about 66 to 62. So year round.
Sweet. That's perfect.
Oh yeah, and that's where I store everything. Anything that's not in the working pantry gets stored down in the basement.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But yeah, I'm excited about the freeze dryer for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what their turnaround time is. I think it took us like about 6 weeks or so to get ours.
He told me probably 2 to 3 weeks before it shipped.
Yeah.
So maybe I can have it before Christmas is what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I don't know if the rush is slowed down for them or whatever, but I know that when we bought ours, there seemed like there was just a ton of orders that, were all backlogged and everything. And I think that had an effect as far as, how quickly they're getting them out the door. But yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy having that. It just adds another layer of, ability to put food back. So.
Oh yeah. Well, hell, Tractor Supply is keeping them in stock now.
Yeah, I've seen them down there. They don't really have the large ones, at least at our Tractor Supply. I've just seen the medium sized one or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's the only ones that they stock, because that's all they had is the medium size.
Yeah.
So, Old McDonald freeze drying is a lot better plan than dehydrating for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to last a lot longer. So
it's going to last a lot longer, but it also, from what I understand, it's going to retain its nutrient value. like freeze drying, you're gonna be able to keep the nutrient value of the food that you've prepared, whereas like with dehydrating, you don't. And then also too, when you rehydrate things, the consistency is just going to be that much better. I mean, you can't dehydrate a steak and then rehydrate it and think it's going to taste like anything other than crap.
Yeah.
But you can do that with a freeze dryer. So it's just different how it prepares and stores the meat. So it's expensive, but it's definitely worth it. There's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And especially the longevity of it too. I mean, like you said, you really can't just dehydrate a steak. I mean, if you do, it's going to be so stinking brittle and everything else. And then
It'd be horrible, man.
it'd be like a rock. I think it'd probably take 3 weeks to rehydrate anything
It'd be so
like
gross.
that.
Yeah, it'd be so nasty.
And freeze dried food, I mean, in my job trailer, our tool trailer, if we're out somewhere working and away from somewhere to eat, I keep a microwave and Mountain House in the truck or in the trailer, and I'll go in there and heat up water in the microwave and fix a pouch of Mountain House and eat it. So I'm used to eating freeze dried stuff a bunch, and it's. I don't have any problem with it. The chicken and rice from Mountain House is amazing. I would eat that stuff every day for lunch.
Mountain House is good, man. I really like Mountain House. They're a good freeze dried product. I wound up taking some of the stuff that Rebecca put back. I don't know, sometime last year down to Self-Reliance Festival, because I packed all my food in the car, slept in the car. I didn't, go into a motel, and I just wanted to kind of do my own thing. And I had enchiladas, and I had, like all kinds of stuff, spaghetti and lasagna that just rehydrated with my little cook stove. And it was delicious, man. I ate some of that down at John's. I just got some hot water and boiled it up, and it's good stuff.
Oh yeah. One of our members in the group, she's had a freeze dryer for years, and she told me, she said, any leftovers, she said the leftovers will stay in the refrigerator for 1 day. And then the next day, she said, if nobody's eating it, I freeze dry it and put it up.
Yeah. And
I'm like, that's the way to do it. So, and I know a lot of people will double batch stuff when they're doing things. And,
are we there?
hey, we got kicked off or something.
What happened there? That was weird.
I have no idea. I guess the gremlins got us or something.
Yeah, I'm new to this live streaming deal, so I don't know what was happening, but at least we're back.
I don't know, and we didn't even say any of the words that get us kicked off. So, I mean, we were being good.
I know, right?
Well, Shelly said we're both back now. So,
yeah, cool.
But yeah, what I was saying, some people will do double batches of food. I've seen them do that. If they're fixing lasagna, they'll fix a double batch, and then half of it goes to the freeze dryer. I'm like, that just stinking makes sense.
Yeah. We were doing 125 eggs at a time. So when we got like 125 eggs, we could do 5 trays of just eggs, like 25 eggs a tray, I believe it was.
Did you do raw eggs, or did you scramble them first?
Yeah, raw, and just kind of lightly scramble them. You don't really like get them all frothy and everything. You just kind of break the yolks and just kind of stir them up that way, and then just put them in there. I never do it. My wife does it. She's the expert there. So, but that's what I've seen her do. So.
Well, shoot, my wife has already got plans. She wants to freeze dry Skittles and all kinds of candy and stuff like that, and see what it tastes like.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people have done that. I just really don't eat that stuff, so it's whatever. But
I don't eat it either.
Yeah, that's it's a thing, man. People do that. So.
Oh, there's people I've seen. People will pay for their freeze dryers by doing that. Yeah,
I heard of that. I actually heard about that on from Jake Robinson. They're off Jack's show. It's one of Jack's guys that is he's had on his show a bit, and he was talking about that. And I think Nicole had him on one time talking about freeze dryer stuff, and that's what he was saying is that he had a lot of good tips. That was actually, if you're if you're all so inclined, you might go look up that episode that Nicole had him on with, because he's got a lot of good intel on what to do with freeze dryers. A lot of good tips. Yeah.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, I got some good tips from him, like freeze drying cheese in a jar and ground beef in a jar and stuff like that. So
really,
yeah, yes.
Well,
so go look that up and use that as a resource. But
that'll be cool. I'll check him out for sure. So, But yeah, that's about all that's new. There's nothing super big going on right now. I guess the only other big plans we've got, I'm going to keep extending our food forest out. I'm going to go down our driveway that comes into the property. One side is a property line. The other side is some woods that we're really not doing anything with. So I told my wife, I said, we're going to go down that side of the driveway and just plant food forest and orchard stuff down through there. I said, we're just going to have everything going down the driveway. And she's like, okay, that's fine. So that's kind of the future plans. This spring we'll start cutting a few of the bigger trees out to make room for fruit trees and just keep extending the food forest. I love that idea of the food forest. It just, after I saw it in action, I'm like, I want to do this. So that's the spring plans for now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Same, man. I'm continually kind of expanding things a little bit at a time as we go here, and just adding more areas where we can actually grow food. I think it's really important, obviously, for the reasons that we've all kind of been doing it pretty vigorously for the last few years, but just from a standpoint of like on your homestead, having those different areas, because you've got different microclimates on your property, right? Some things are going to do better in certain areas. So the more you can kind of spread that out and diversify it, it just makes sense. And then, from a pest pressure standpoint, same thing, just spreading out, having things in different areas makes a lot of sense. You might get deer browse in one area, you might get rabbit browse in another, but if you plant everything in one spot, it's easy for them to find, and then they're going to wipe you out. So I've been kind of doing, a lot of that as well, just trying to expand what I got going here too. So that's awesome.
Oh yeah. I mean, spread it out. Don't have all your eggs in one basket, just sitting at the same spot. Another thing I want to do is get into some fodder trees. I've been looking around and seeing what we've got that already grows natural here that I could cut for fodder trees. And I want to try to put up a bunch of tree hay this year, this coming spring, and see what happens with it. I would like to have a big stash of that coming into next fall and seeing how long it lasts and everything like that, and if the animals do good on it or not.
Yeah, I planted probably, I don't know, it's been probably 18 or so, almost 20 years ago, I planted some white mulberry, and I should have planted a lot more had I known better, but you only know what you know. But I planted a couple of them, and those trees are mature. Right now they're dropping leaves hard, and the cows are out there every day. Just you see them walking around, just eating the leaves as the wind blows them off. So
really,
it's pretty cool. I just wish I had planted a lot more along my fence lines, because if you plant it along your fence line, then both sides of the cross fencing, it's going to feed both sides of the pasture. So that would have been the ideal plan for me to do, is to plant a lot more of that along my fence lines. And then it not only provides shade, but it also, it feeds both sides of the fence. And definitely fodder trees are the way to go, man.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, another thing we've got going, and I'm trying to get it started. I've got to talk to the director of the school. We did a video, and Billy talks about feeding your animals and you're doing the same thing, getting it from restaurants and stuff like that. We're trying to do a pilot program with a small private school to where we can educate the kids on what we're doing with the food waste that they generate. What we're going to try to do is get the kids their food at lunch, what they don't eat, they're going to put in a special container. I'm going to pick it up every day, bring home and compost it. We're going to compost it through the animals and see how that works out. So we're kind of doing a pilot program with them. Going to hopefully start it up. I want to start it up as soon as I can, but then I told the director of the school, I'm like, I can come in, teach the kids, tell them exactly what we're doing with this and show them what we're getting from it, and then show them later on what the compost brings. You know, if we got an abundance of strawberries from the food forest, I told her, I was like, I will bring in strawberries for the kids. I said, you find out the legality of it and what I need to do to bring fruit into the kids, and I'll bring fruit into the kids if you help me out with the food scraps.
That's a fantastic idea, man. If you get something like that established, that'll go a long way to cutting that feed bill on your end of it. But it's also, like you were saying, just an educational aspect for the kids, so they understand, hey, you can do something like that with what we're doing, and it's not just garbage, it's not just trash. We're actually doing something that's meaningful. Which, yeah, that's huge. I wish they would teach stuff like that in school when I went through school, you know. And you would have learned it back when you were a wee lad instead of learning it when you're like, you know, gray beard, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so stupid to throw all that stuff away, to throw it in the landfill when you could feed herds of animals with that stuff. I mean, one place in town, the chef called me the other day, and I did a video on it of everything I got. I got 3 5-gallon buckets and a 2.5-gallon bucket full of nothing but awesome food. And it was from a big event, and it was all food that they had left over from the weekend. From that weekend, he sent me a message Sunday night, sent me a text. He's like, hey, I've got a bunch of stuff for you. Come in. I came in Monday morning, first thing. He took me to a walk-in cooler, and he goes, all those trays over there are yours. Here's a spatula, scoop it out. And I'm like, you're kidding. And he's like, no, it's all yours. They had, there was probably 2 or 3 pans of baked beans. There were 2 pans of corn. There was pans of chicken fajita meat that didn't get eaten. There was brisket. There was pulled pork. I mean, just all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm like, holy cow. I mean, I sorted out, you know, I didn't feed the chickens chicken or anything, but I fed the pigs the chicken, and then I fed the chickens the pork. And I mean, they absolutely tore that stuff up. I mean, I threw pulled pork out there with barbecue sauce, and I mean, there were fights started between the chickens who wanted the pulled pork the first.
Yeah, you bet. I do the same exact thing. You know, the animals, they don't know any better. I mean, they love Costco rotisserie chicken, you know, but I don't feed it to them just out of courtesy to them, man. It's just kind of creepy to eat your own kind, I guess. But so we do the same thing. We feed the chicken to the pigs and the pigs to the chicken. So,
well, hell, if you get a chicken that dies out there, the other chickens will go in there and start pecking on it and eating it if you don't get it out of there fast enough.
Yeah, no, that's true. I wind up retrieving them and sticking them in the compost, and kind of how I deal with it. But they're pretty ruthlessly cannibalistic.
Oh yeah, that litter of pigs we had 2 little piglets that didn't make it. So I mean, I was sad about that and everything, but I took the little things and threw them out there in the compost ring, and the chickens were standing in the compost ring, and I threw them in there, and I was like, these chickens will eat these things. Those chickens ran off like a bunch of sissies. They're like, what the heck is this? They took off running. And I'm like, okay. So I dug through the compost pile and stuck them in the middle of the compost pile, and they're in the process of becoming compost now. Yeah,
that's the way to go, man. Nothing goes to waste.
Oh yeah, and I think it's great if more people would do that. Well, the big thing is if more businesses were open to doing that for people like us, it would. I mean, you're not going to fill up the landfills, and you're going to cut your feed bill down to next to nothing.
Right. Yeah, I fully agree, man. I'm really quite committed to that idea, you know, and I haven't always been that way. It's just been something that within the last few years that's really struck a chord with me. And, you know, to take something that's, you know, obviously going to be thrown away and just add to the landfill and be a wasted resource. You can take that and turn it into beautiful compost that you can grow amazing food out of. It's just like, you know, why aren't they teaching that to grade school kids? Well, I think we actually know the answer to that, but right. So
because it doesn't put money in Big Ag's pocket is what it does.
That's true. But hey, I was going to ask you, man, just on a different note, but maybe this is something we can beat around for just a moment before we get off of here. But we're from 2 very different states. I'm from California. You're from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of like misconceptions about or stereotypes regarding people who live in a certain area. I know there are with like me, when I go places, people that don't understand what it's like in California. They already have a preconceived notion of what Californians are like.
Yeah.
So what's one of the biggest misconceptions you would say from your perspective?
Well, you're a dope smoking liberal hippie though, aren't you? You're from California,
Right.
right?
Right.
One of the big misconceptions is everybody marries their cousin or brother and sister marry and all that stuff, and nobody has any teeth. I mean, I've got all my teeth and they're all real. So
yeah,
that and everybody's just a bunch of backwards hillbillies, and everybody runs around with no shoes and marries their sister and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
yeah, I actually heard that quite a bit from just mostly from people who don't live in the area. I heard it at SRF, people talking. I'm just kind of like walking by and I casually hear somebody talking about somebody from California. They don't realize I'm from California, and they're talking about what it's like to live in California. And it's like, dude, I've lived there my whole life, and I'm not in any way in defense of California politics, but I will tell you this: there's a lot more good people here than people give credit to from California, right?
Yeah,
this is actually it's a pretty red state when you look at county by county. It's just those large areas where everybody congregates in LA and Sacramento and San Francisco, San Jose. That's what drives politics in this state, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of conservative good people here, and it's just interesting. There's actually a county up in the northern part of this state. That's the only county that I know of almost anywhere that never shut down one day.
Really?
Never shut down one day. They said, no, we ain't doing that. Yeah. And then they tried to like threaten them with a bunch of stuff, from higher up. And the sheriff said, yeah, we ain't doing that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Our restaurants are open. Not one day. And that's in California, and people don't know that. But that's
the way it needs to be, is that local government says, screw you, we're going to do what we want to.
Yeah, that's the value of having a good sheriff. As far as from a voting standpoint, that's about all I'm really caring about voting for, because that's the person that's going to protect my 2A, and that's the person that's going to not be shutting businesses down. So that's a very important position to me. All the rest of politics I kind of put to the side and just kind of forge my own path because I know what I need to do.
Our sheriff in our county, he lives about 4 or 5 miles from me and comes to church with us. And I mean, he's one of the best guys you'll ever meet. Retired military, retired police officer. And I mean, he's a super awesome dude. If I needed something, I could call him up and he would do whatever he would for us. So, And I mean, then you see him, every week when you go to church and stuff like that. He's a super cool guy. He finally won the election, and the old guy's out. Thank goodness. He'd been in there a little too long. He was getting long in the tooth. So that, and not everybody does meth in Kentucky. So, but now we did name. I'm doing the chicken tractor on steroids that Billy's got, but we named ours the chicken tractor on meth just to make kind of light of the meth situation and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
Right.
So I thought that people would get a kick out of that, and people will remember it too.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, what about tornadoes, man? You got to worry about that down there?
Sometimes, I mean, we had tornadoes back in January that hit West Kentucky, and then we had some a while back that hit Bowling Green. Just little spots. They just kind of jumped down and blew some stuff around. We've actually got severe weather coming in tomorrow afternoon, I think is what they're saying. So we might have some spin up tornadoes and stuff like that. So it used to not be as bad, but now I think with all the weather manipulation and that kind of crap that it's getting a little bit worse. So
yeah, well, hopefully that doesn't impact anybody in a community, because that's pretty terrible to have ripping through your killing people and tearing up their livelihoods. That's sad to see.
Oh yeah, and that's one of those things you really can't plan for. I mean, it's not like a hurricane that's setting off the coast and you've got time to do it. I mean, they can tell you, hey, we might have some strong storms coming in tomorrow, kind of be a little bit prepared. But I mean, stuff's spun up before just out of small storms, and you can't really be 100% prepared for one of those.
Yeah, that's a weather phenomenon that is completely fascinating to me, man. I've watched a bunch of videos on YouTube on that stuff, and it's just fascinating to watch the power of Mother Nature and just how random it is, you know. They're so different. There's different types of them, rope tornadoes and wedge tornadoes and just all kinds of weird stuff. But we don't really have that here. So I don't really have to deal with it on the level that you guys do. But hopefully
you just got to worry about wildfires, though, don't you?
Yeah, we do. That's a thing. But since most everything burned around here in the last 5 years, it's not really that big of a concern right now. The east side and the west side just got nuked in the last 5 years. So that's just due, man. It's time for that to happen. You know, people get kind of spun up on that. You know, oh, it's terrible or whatever, but that's Mother Nature. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that was my line of work for 30 years. I was a wildland firefighter.
Yeah.
And so I know that business well. And that's one thing that people maybe don't take the perspective to understand. That's what Mother Nature does. We've put homes and communities in places where it used to burn until the snow flew, you know?
Yeah.
And so now we get like upset when, you know, the forest gets burned down. Well, it's supposed to do that. You know, we are the ones who are manipulating the way things are supposed to be by actually putting that fire out. That's not how it's been for, you know, thousands of years.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That are the people that move in next to a farm, and then they fuss about the pigs smelling or the cows mooing or something like that. It's like, dude, there's been a farm here for years. You're the one that is causing the problem, not my animals. They've been here for years, and we never had a problem till you built a subdivision here.
Right. You must be from California.
Yes, they are. All those California people moving.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hear some people saying that, like, you know, you're Californian and you go up into Idaho and they see your plates or whatever, they'll key your car. Now I don't know if that's true. It's never happened to me, but you know, they don't like Californians, man. But again, that's just one of those stereotypes. They've never met me. You know, they might like me if they met me. Who knows? You know, you got to get to know a person before you can not like a person. You know,
exactly. I mean, I will give anybody the benefit of the doubt until you give me a reason not to like you. I mean, I'm equal opportunity. If you want to come up and talk to me, that's great. I will talk to you. But once you cross that line or give me some weird reason, you know, it's all good. I mean, I'll talk to whoever. I mean, I've got no preconceived notions on people. I have no problem with anybody.
Yeah.
So, and I'm more of a libertarian kind of thing. You know, if you don't believe in everything that I believe in, that's cool. You can believe in what you want to believe. I'll believe in my stuff, but don't try to push your policies down my throat, and I won't try to push my policies down your throat.
Yeah.
And we can still be friends and get along.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and I think here's the thing, man. I think that even people who are liberal that I disagree with on just about every, you know, issue, I think that if we actually sat down and we talked one-on-one, just try to meaningfully have a conversation and interact with one another, we would find out that we have far more in common with each other. Despite our political differences, we have far more in common than the people that either side is voting for. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because those people, they're up here and the rest of us are down here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it's on a different, they don't even hear what we have to say. And they've got us fighting down here while they're up here just kind of going, yeah, keep fighting.
Oh, yeah.
But we all want the same things. We want to be left alone. You know, we want to live our lives according to how we want to live it. That's what people want, you know. And it's just, sad to think that we've been like pushed apart by people who are trying to do that. So.
Oh, yeah. And it's all on purpose, too. I mean, they want to keep everybody fighting and mad at each other and all that kind of stuff. And then they can just do whatever they want to. Because me and you are fighting about something stupid, but then here they're spraying chemicals all over the place while me and you are arguing about whether we should go to a Baptist church or a Catholic church. You know, we're arguing about that, and then they're killing everybody in the meantime.
Yeah, and see that's the prime example of why I don't even pay attention to it. I stopped listening to the radio sometime in 2020. I don't listen to the radio. I get in my car. It's quiet time, and
Yeah.
I don't need that, because what happens is, like, when the commercials come on, then they're feeding you with propaganda.
Yeah.
Get this, get that. Oh, be afraid of this, right? And so I just got tired of that. It just brings me to a different level in my head. And so I know what I need to do. I don't even focus on, like I said, the news. I don't even focus on it on a daily basis. I just get up and I know what I need to do. I know where my gaps are, and I know where I need to go. That's what I focus on. I'm just a much happier person. They can talk about whatever they talk about. It doesn't affect me. Yeah.
My oldest son, when I take him to school, he would plug his iPhone. He would sync it up with the radio in my truck, and he would listen to music. But as soon as he got out, it would disconnect, and I just leave the radio off. And now, unless he's in the vehicle and playing some of his music that he wants to listen to, and thank goodness he likes the same music. He likes classic rock, so we agree on that.
Yeah.
But when he's not in the vehicle, I don't listen to anything. The radio stays off. And I'm the same way. I like to think about stuff, and I'm a planner. So I'm planning everything out and just sitting there thinking in my head, what I'm going to do. So, and I don't listen to the news hardly any. I get a lot of my news from actually my friends that are on Facebook. They'll watch the news and they'll post something. If I find it interesting, I'll watch that. And when I'm working, I listen to a lot of YouTube videos when I'm working. So, I'll put in my earbuds while I'm doing something and throw on YouTube, and I get a lot of info from YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's amazing how that's transformed over the years. I remember when YouTube first kind of became a thing, it was just whatever, people posting videos. But it's now the second largest search engine in the world, right behind its parent, Google. And anything you want to know about anything, you just go on there and type it in, and it's there. And now you have to discern whether or not the information you're getting is valid or not, because it's on the internet. But nonetheless, there's a lot of good stuff there, and it's crazy. That's pretty much all I watch. We don't have Netflix. We don't have any of that. So I watch YouTube videos. If I want to see something.
Yeah, that's what I do at night when everybody goes to bed earlier than I do. I'm kind of a night owl, but I will stay up and I will watch YouTube videos. Everything from, homesteading to permaculture stuff. I've got my usual people that I watch. If I hadn't watched them during the day or really listened to them during the day while I'm working, I hit it up. And there's a few videos. There's a few videos that you really need to watch. That you actually need to watch it instead of just listening to. So sure. I'll save those for at night. I'll sit on the couch and watch the YouTube videos at night, and I'm feeding my brain stuff that I want to know instead of a bunch of propaganda crap and learning stuff.
100%. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, like I said, I'll hit everything from permaculture to homestead to some butchering stuff to ham radio. I kind of got down a rabbit hole the other day. I was watching world records, the guys that do the speed runs for Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like some dude has got the world record for beating Mario Brothers in I think it's 6 minutes or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He sped run through the whole thing, and I'm like, holy crap, how'd that dude do it that fast? It takes me 6 minutes to get through one world.
Wow. So, yeah, that's crazy. I haven't played that game in years. We used to play it when the kids, we had kids in the house and they were small and stuff. And I remember that song gets in your head, and it's just like,
yes,
you hear that noise, and it's crazy.
Oh yeah. But I watch I watch all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm always trying to learn new stuff and everything like that. I would rather spend my time educating my brain than watching a bunch of stupid reality TV shows.
100%.
So, because in the end, you're not getting anything. It's like I've wasted an hour of my life and watch some guy dig gold out of the ground, or something like that. I'm like, I'm never gonna go dig gold out of the ground, I don't think. So why do I need to watch this crap?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too, man. It's I feel you on that one. Hey, so let me ask you: are you going to any festivals upcoming next year? You planning on going to SRF or the Midwest thing or whatever?
I'm probably, I don't know if I want to do, I got to see when SRF, I forgot the date on it. But if I go to one, I will go to that. And I do know I'm going to go this year. I've never been to Back to the Land Festival. I want to go to it, and it's down somewhere in Tennessee, pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
So they're supposed to have a pretty good festival, and I know I'm going to make it. I'll probably go to SRF too if it fits in with my schedule. But I probably won't go. Those are probably the only two I'll go to.
Yeah, they were talking about on Freesteading trying to get, a better schedule for the festivals so that they're not overlapping or they're not conflicting with one another. And they also talked about maybe setting it up so that you could come into the area and go from one to the next and kind of, make your way through them if the timing's right. So,
that would be great.
I would like to get down there again, but we'll just have to see. It's a real challenge for us because we have obviously the property here with animals and whatnot. So somebody's got to be able to be here to watch. Yeah. And we just need to work something like that out. And that's the only reason that my wife wasn't down there with me before, was just because she had to farm sit. So.
Oh yeah. Well, shoot, you can swing by my place then next time.
Yeah, man. Sure. Love to do that.
I mean, I'm only 2.5 hours from John's place.
Okay. Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever seen tobacco, so that was kind of cool, man.
Oh, really? That's the first time you've ever seen it?
Yeah, no, we don't have that out here. And I've driven, good ways around the country, but I haven't driven a whole lot through the South, Yeah. Because we spent a lot of time in our motorhome in the last few years and driving different places, and we just never made it down that way. So that was kind of cool. I'm driving in the back roads coming into SRF and in Kentucky, and I'm looking over and I'm going, man, that looks like tobacco, sure enough. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, you ought to see it in the fall when they're cutting tobacco, and then they're going to fire cure some of it. It looks like the tobacco barns are on fire.
Huh.
So, because they'll take it and hang it, and then they burn like smoldering. They'll take sawdust and spread it on the tobacco barn floor and light it, and it just smolders, and there's just smoke rolling out of these tobacco barns.
Huh.
And I'm like, I've seen it before. First time I saw it, I was like, somebody's tobacco barn's on fire. They're going to be mad when it burns to the ground.
I bet you that tobacco smells good too. Doesn't it when it's curing? I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can smell that smoke in the tobacco cure. I like the smell. I mean, yeah. But I like a good cigar too. So. Yeah,
I used to chew Copenhagen I started, chewing Beech Nut when I was a little kid, and then you graduate to Levi Garrett and Plug and, then I was chewing Copenhagen by the time I'm 14. I chewed that, for 30 years. Right. And I finally quit that, decided to grow up and quit my habit, and it's been, I don't know, it's probably been 12, 14 years since I had any. And I can't do tobacco. I mean, it'd be nice if I could pick up a cigar and have a cigar, but when you have an addiction, it's like one of those things where you're like, hey, that tastes pretty good. Yeah. But weird,
Oh yeah, I know.
I like the way it smells. I like the way a good pipe tobacco smells, and cigars not too bad. I'm crazy about cigarettes, but.
Oh yeah, I mean a good pipe tobacco. I could just light a pipe and just let it burn in the shop, and it would just smell so good.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah, my dad used to smoke a pipe only in the wintertime though. So it always reminded me of kind of the holidays, the Christmas time and Thanksgiving, and he used to smoke a pipe, which was kind of cool. But
you don't see many people smoking pipes anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of not a thing that much, but it does smell good.
We could bring it back. We could start smoking pipes while we do lives.
That's right. That'd be good. That'd be cool.
The pipe smoking brothers is what
we're doing. There you go. Awesome, man.
Somebody would say something bad about that, I bet.
Probably, yeah. But whatever, man. They say all kinds of wacky stuff on the internet. I don't try to pay them too much mind. There's some crazy people out there.
So. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. It's great chatting with you, Jason. I'm glad I was able to get you on, and we'll definitely have to stay in touch.
For sure.
Yeah. It's great having you as a resource and a contact and a friend I can contact and kind of find out what's going on down in your neck of the woods. And don't hesitate to give me a holler anytime. You got my number.
Oh yeah, I can tell you about all our good cheap hay that we get.
I know, man. Yeah. We were talking earlier, and you're telling me all how cheap it was. I was thinking, man, I could almost add a few cows back, because I had to sell a bunch just because I can't afford to. It just doesn't pencil out. I mean, I could afford it, but I ain't trying to feed a lot of animals and lose money, right?
Oh yeah.
So you got to figure out what your property can support, and then have your livestock fit that pasture accordingly. And so I had to basically sell everything because of the drought and cost of hay. I can't afford it, man. $25 a bale for alfalfa second cutting. So
Well, it's like the old guy said, how do you make $1 million cattle farming? And he said you start with 2 million.
Never heard that one. That's good.
That's what an old timer said one time. He's like, if you want to make $1 million raising cattle, he said you need to start with 2 million.
Oh, that's a good one, man. I'll have to use that one. That's freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean it can get freaking expensive feeding animals. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. No, it used to be much different. Buy a full load or half a load, and it wasn't going to break the bank. But I mean, you're looking at $4,000 for half a load, and it's like that doesn't make any sense, man, because you're not going to make that on the back end.
No,
it just doesn't make any sense. So, but hey, man, we've been going at it for a minute. Probably ought to get off of here and sign off. But where can people get in touch with you if they so choose to maybe go down the route of getting their own group started or something like that? Where can you can
get us. You can go to my channel. It's Kentucky Sustainable Living on YouTube. My email's on there. Email me. You can email me there. If you're on Facebook, you can hit me on Facebook. You can send me a message from Facebook. Find Kentucky Sustainable Living on Facebook. You can talk to me there, that kind of stuff. That's the two easiest ways to get a hold of me. I went down the stinking rabbit hole of TikTok the other day, and that's, God, I wished I'd ever done that because I've wasted 20 minutes today looking at that stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just not going to have to, I'm going to have to delete that. But
yeah,
either that or get somebody, either delete it off my phone and get my wife to post videos or just delete it. But
it's weird, huh? It's weird. It's just like, it kind of like sucks you in. And then you're like, why am I even looking at this, man? I'm wasting my time. I'm burning brain cells looking at this.
Yeah. I'm like, this is the greatest thing for making people not want to work.
Yeah. So, yeah. If you got no goals, man, you could sit down and look at that stuff all day, every day. And it just keeps feeding you like the stuff that, you're interested in.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy.
I thought Facebook was bad about sucking you in, but TikTok is, I mean, it's horrible. So, but I just did it to kind of grow audience and stuff like that. So if you want to get it on TikTok, send me a message on it. We can talk on there if I can figure all that crap out. So I'm still pretty new about it. So
yeah, same here, man. Just still trying to figure things out. This is my second broadcast. So yeah, I think at least we did it with kind of taking the training wheels off a little bit here.
Oh yeah,
didn't have Tim helping me.
Yeah, exactly. Tim is the guru. I mean, when me and him did a live, I mean, he set everything up for me and was like, "Here you go." I was like, "Sweet."
Yeah, so, he's a good dude, man. I've watched all of his content creation videos that he had on. I watch them all the time, actually. I put them on and kind of listen to them while I'm going to sleep. Maybe some of that'll rub off on me,
Oh yeah, I mean he does an excellent job, and I mean he's one of the guys that I'm glad I met in person, and I mean he's a super asset. So we need to do like 4 or 5 of us on a round table one night.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty awesome. Just get in the room and chop it up.
Tim would start talking about horror movies and stuff like that and everything. He talks about those a bunch. I've watched some of his lives about his top 20 horror movies and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I've had a good time. We'll do a round table one of these days when we get freed up and get some good people on.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, and I think we'll sign off. And if you want to stay on for a minute just after, and we'll have a little sidebar. But yeah, thanks for being on the broadcast.
All right. Thanks everybody that was on here. I appreciate you watching.
You bet.